Welcome to the next Tao in a Minute. Okay, today we're going to talk about identity. Identities are something that are so tricky and so insidious in that we don't realize how much our identity controls our life, as well as has more input into the quality of our happiness or not happiness than almost anything else. I'm going to give you a very important lesson that I hope you remember if you remember nothing else I teach. You will do nothing that is not congruent with your identity. The most powerful force in your psyche and your body is doing that which is congruent with your identity. I was listening to a woman to speak recently, and she said she was identified as an American, and she had this blank look in her eyes like, why would you call me American? And the guy says, well, I'm from America. I was born and raised there, and I can hear your A's. The way you pronounce the letter A tells me that you're also an American. And she says, I was born and raised in Canada. I've never lived in America. I don't want to be American. I'm Canadian. I don't ever want to be identified that way. Now, why? Are they so far apart, America and Canada? No. National identities, social group identities, religious identities, all of these things help us to feel that very, very important need of connection, feel that very important need of significance within that group. And these two needs, significance and connection, which we'll talk about in another episode, are some of the most powerful motivators of why we do what we do. If you want to know why humans do what they do, simple, to get a need met. But our identity is based around these needs because the identity we hold tells us how we get our needs met. As far as Canadian or American, those names and monikers have more to do with political structures and tax codes and policy and law than it has to do with people and who are you. I promise you, a person born in Ontario's kidney will fit in a person in Chicago or New Mexico. It has less to do with us as humans and more to do with us as this social identifier. But when we mistake who we are for a social identifier, we get things like people going to war because of a flag. We get people going to war because my ideology says this and yours is in conflict with that, so let's throw our bodies on the big machine of war and let's die for these identities. And yet, when you get to the people who are there in the conflict and you say, why are you here? They don't say, I'm dying for this identity or cause. Most of the time they say, I'm dying for the person right next to me. I'm dying for the person over here who I identify with. You see, it's a very powerful thing. We're going to discuss this more. This is not just a one-part series, but I want you to think about, what do you use to identify yourself? What things do you say, I am, right? The very sacred name in Judaism, I am. What do you use to say, I am? And start to ask yourself, why are you that? What makes you that? And I'm going to ask you a very specific question. I want you to think about this. If you lost your identity today, if you lost your memory today, who could you be tomorrow? Think about that. We're going to talk about this in other subjects more, but for now we'll take enough time. So if you like this, or share it with the people who you think might promote a great discussion. Until next time, see you on a Tao in a Minute.